You sent over some fascinating research on the power of a smile.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff.
You're ready to see this, everyday expression in a whole new light.
Absolutely.
We're diving deep into the science and stories
Yeah.
behind the impact of a smile.
It's more than just, flashing your teeth, that's for sure.
Right.
This article, The Power of a Smile, the science and stories behind its impact, really digs into, just how much is going on beneath the surface.
Yeah, you want to understand the real impact.
Yeah.
And trust me, it goes way deeper than just being polite. It starts with your brain.
That's right. When you smile, your brain releases a cocktail of neurochemicals. Dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, they all contribute to feelings of happiness and well-being.
Have you ever noticed, even a forced smile can sometimes just shift your mood?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's the power of those neurochemicals at work.
Exactly. Scientists even have a name for it.
Oh, really?
It's called the facial feedback hypothesis.
Okay.
Basically, your brain doesn't always differentiate between a genuine smile and one you might force yourself to make.
So even if I'm faking it, my brain might buy it.
In a way, yes.
That's fascinating. Are there, studies that support this?
Absolutely. Researchers at the University of Kansas found that people who held a smile while doing stressful tasks actually had lower heart rates than those who didn't. Smiling can actually impact your physical response to stress.
No, that's something you can really sink your teeth into, especially if you're one of those people looking for ways to manage stress in your daily life.
Right, and we're just scratching the surface. Smiling isn't just an internal process, it's a powerful social signal as well.
So it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
It impacts us internally,
Right.
but also sends a message to the people around us.
Precisely.
Think about it.
A smile is a universal language. It often conveys trustworthiness, warmth, and a willingness to connect. You were interested in multiple perspectives. This goes beyond any single culture.
Yeah, it's like an instant icebreaker.
Yeah.
We're hardwired to respond to smiles, and studies show our brains actually mimic them. It's no wonder you instantly feel more at ease around a smiling face.
That mimicry is key. It creates a sense of connection and empathy almost immediately.
Right.
And it's not just about feeling good. It has real-world implications. Let's consider the business world.
Okay, let's get practical. I have a feeling a good smile can make or break a deal.
More than you might think. Research from the Yale School of Management suggests that smiling during customer interactions can increase customer satisfaction by as much as 25%.
A quarter of customers feeling more satisfied
That's right.
just from a smile. That's a powerful statistic.
It is.
It makes you realize how much those small interactions really matter.
It speaks volumes about creating, a positive and welcoming atmosphere. But the benefits of a smile might go beyond customer service.
You've piqued my curiosity. What else can a simple smile do?
Well, there have been studies investigating the link between smiling and longevity. One in particular looked at baseball players from the 1950s.
Baseball players and smiles. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Researchers analyzed photos of these players and found those who were smiling lived an average of 7 years longer.
7 years, is that all it takes?
Well,
Should I start practicing my grin in the mirror?
hold on. It's crucial to remember, correlation doesn't equal causation. It could be that happier people tend to smile more, and that happiness itself is linked to other healthy habits.
That's a good point. Still, it's a fascinating concept that a positive outlook might actually have, tangible benefits. But you're right, correlation doesn't equal causation. There's always more to the story.
And speaking of stories, you sent over some incredible anecdotes about the power of a smile. One that stands out is about a man named Chris Rosati.
Okay, I'm ready to hear this.
Chris was diagnosed with ALS, a very serious neurological disease. Despite this, he made it his mission to spread kindness and smiles.
That's incredibly inspiring. It's easy to be kind when things are good, but to have that kind of spirit in the face of adversity?
I know, right?
Well,
Exactly. It speaks volumes about the power of choosing positivity, even when life throws you a curveball. And Chris's smiles weren't just for show. He wanted to inspire a ripple effect of kindness.
I love that. How did he go about spreading joy?
He did something incredibly simple. He handed out free donuts to strangers, but there was a catch.
Okay.
He'd ask each person to do something kind for someone else.
Oh, I love that.
It's amazing how something so small snowballed into an incredible chain of generosity.
That's the kind of story that restores your faith in humanity.
I know.
A simple gesture can have a huge impact.
And that impact is something we're hardwired to seek. Remember that study about how our brains mimic smiles? Well, turns out there's another layer to that.
This is where it gets even more interesting. I'm all ears. This is where it gets even more interesting. I'm all ears.
It's not just about mimicry.
Oh,
Our brains also seem to register the authenticity of a smile, especially on a subconscious level.
so you're saying we can sense a genuine smile versus a fake one?
Exactly.
I've definitely experienced that, but I never realized our brains could actually pick up on those subtle cues.
Think about those times you've interacted with someone who had, like, a big, cheesy grin plastered on their face, but something about it just felt off.
Yeah.
Your brain was probably picking up on inconsistencies in their facial muscles, telling you that the smile wasn't entirely genuine.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It explains why a forced smile, even if it gives us a little mood boost, might not have the same impact as a genuine expression of joy.
Precisely. We're wired for authenticity. And speaking of genuine smiles, let's circle back to those stories you sent. You mentioned one about a teacher that resonated with you.
Yes. The story about Jordan. It really highlighted the power of a simple smile to make a real difference in someone's life. Can you tell us a bit about him?
Jordan was a student who was struggling, silently.
Okay.
He was withdrawn, didn't participate much in class, and his teachers weren't quite sure how to reach him.
It's so easy to jump to conclusions when you don't have the full picture.
You're right. Often there's more beneath the surface. And that was certainly the case with Jordan. One day his teacher spotted him, alone during recess, and decided to simply approach him with a smile and an invitation to talk. That small gesture changed everything.
Wow. Something as simple as a smile broke down a wall and allowed that teacher to connect with Jordan.
And when Jordan felt seen and heard, he opened up. He shared that he was dealing with a difficult family situation that was weighing heavily on him. He was feeling overwhelmed and alone, which caused him to shut down at school. But that teacher's smile, that small act of kindness and genuine interest, shifted something for him.
It's incredible how such a simple act of kindness can change the trajectory of someone's life.
It really is, and this story speaks to a larger point about the power of human connection. We as humans are social creatures, and smiles are an integral part of how we connect with one another.
These stories highlight how our smiles impact others, but let's not forget about the benefits they offer us personally. It's not selfish to prioritize our well-being, and smiling can be a powerful tool in that regard.
Absolutely. Remember that cocktail of neurochemicals we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, those benefits go beyond a temporary mood boost. Smiling regularly can actually reduce stress hormones, like cortisol.
Cortisol, that's the infamous stress hormone.
One and the same. And by keeping cortisol levels in check, smiling does wonders for both your mental and physical health.
So smiling isn't just about being friendly. It's an investment in our overall health. And don't those studies suggest that it might even have a positive impact on our hearts?
They do. Research suggests that smiling can lower heart rate and blood pressure, potentially playing a role in overall cardiovascular health.
Okay, I'm convinced. From now on, I'm adding smile more to my list of healthy habits. But before we wrap up this fascinating deep dive, I want to revisit that intriguing point about smiling being universally understood. It's easy to assume it's a cultural norm, but the research seems to suggest it's much deeper than that.
It really is fascinating. There was a compelling study done by the Max Planck Institute, where they studied isolated cultures that had minimal exposure to Western media or influence.
Oh.
Even in these groups, smiles were consistently recognized as expressions of positive emotions.
That's incredible. Even without shared cultural references, a smile still translates as a positive emotion. It speaks to how deeply ingrained smiling is in our human experience.
It's like a universal language, a common thread that connects us all.
It's a beautiful thought, especially in a world that can often feel divided.
Exactly. It reminds us that despite our differences, we share a fundamental human experience. And sometimes all it takes is a smile to tap into that shared connection.
That's a powerful message to end on. But before we go, I want to leave our listener with a thought to ponder. We've talked extensively about the impact our smiles have on others, but what about the impact they have on us?
It's a question worth considering.
Pay attention to how you feel when someone smiles at you. Notice how it colors your interactions throughout the day. You might be surprised by what you discover.
Self-reflection can be incredibly enlightening.
It can, indeed. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the power of a smile. It's not just a facial expression. It's a social signal, a mood booster, a stress reducer, and maybe even a key to a longer, healthier life.
A simple act with profound implications.
It really is. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep smiling.